the clay pot. They said no one in Umuwaka had a name like Chief Obidike. He was the man who turned mud into marble, built wealth from oil, land, and sheer audacity. With fleets of trucks, grand houses, and a voice that silenced boardrooms and elders alike, he often said, "Even if the sky falls, I will catch it with one hand." His pride was bigger than his compound walls. Since his wife's death, he raised 2 children, his son Chukwuma, whom he groomed as his heir, and his daughter Amaka, whom he kept in the background like a shadow. She was too quiet, too soft for business, he often said. But people in the village knew Amaka was different. Her eyes carried patience. Her hands held grace. On his 65th birthday, Chief Obidike threw a feast. The village danced. The air was full of drums and goat pepper soup. But the real attraction was inside his newly built legacy room, a shining hall where gold-plated trophies sat beside carved staffs and imported art. At the very center stood a massive, shimmering marble vase straight from Italy. Obidike stood tall before it and declared, "This is the symbol of my legacy, strong, priceless, enduring, and only my son will inherit it." The crowd cheered. Chukwuma beamed. Amaka stood at the back, her expression unreadable. But that night, the skies cracked with thunder, and by morning, the vase had fallen and shattered. Panic filled the compound. The chief yelled. Servants swore they knew nothing, but no one could explain how the grand vase had fallen on its own. Stranger still, someone had placed a small, unpainted clay pot where the marble had once stood. Obidike was furious. "Who dared mock me?" No one answered. Then, a few days later, an old man arrived in the village. He was blind, dusty, and carried only a wooden staff. He walked straight to the elders and said, "I have heard your chief's legacy broke. I have come to offer something better." The villagers laughed. "You?" They mocked. "What can a blind potter offer a man of empires?" But Obidike, driven by pride and curiosity, agreed to let the old man try. The potter said, "Give me 7 days. If I fail, I will disappear and take my shame with me." Each day, he molded clay in the village square. He worked with quiet confidence, humming old songs. Only one person sat beside him, Amaka. She asked questions, brought water, even shaped the clay with her fingers. Her brother Chukwuma passed by once or twice, never stopping, never caring. On the 7th day, the potter presented his work, a humble clay pot, smooth, reddish-brown, unpainted and unadorned. Obidike scoffed. "This is it?" The potter nodded. "Fill it with water and pour it out." Obidike obeyed, just to prove the old man wrong. But when he poured, wine flowed out. Thick, fragrant. The crowd gasped. "Again," the potter said. Obidike poured a second time. Golden oil flowed. A third time, pure white milk. The chief stepped back in awe. The potter turned to Amaka, placed the pot in her hands, and whispered, "Only the humble can carry true legacy." Then he walked away into the forest, and no one ever saw him again. That night, anger swelled in Chukwuma's chest. He stormed into his father's chamber. "Why her? I am your son." Obidike said nothing, but something in him had shifted. He walked to Amaka's room, hoping to speak to her, but she was gone. The bed was made, her sandals gone, and on the table, 2 things, the clay pot and a letter. In her beautiful, clear handwriting it read, "Papa, I never wanted your empire. I only ever wanted your heart. You taught Chukwuma pride. I only wished you had taught us wisdom. The clay pot? I made it. The potter was my teacher. He was blind, yes, but he saw more than most people ever will. I'm leaving now, not to run away, but to build something greater than marble, something that breathes. Years passed. Chukwuma squandered the wealth, bad investments, greedy partnerships. The estates slowly crumbled, room by room. Obidike grew older and lonelier. The legacy room stood empty, its marble ghosts echoing pride and silence. But far away in towns and villages no one remembered, people began to speak of a woman named Amaka, a woman who built free schools and health centers, who fed the poor and always carried a clay pot in her arms. They said the pot never ran dry, that it poured oil for the sick, water for the thirsty, and hope for the broken. Some called it a miracle, others called it legend. But Chief Obidike knew the truth. His real legacy wasn't marble. It was molded in clay and carried by the daughter no one saw coming.